we back. Now on this channel, I give my opinions about the league every single day. And that's just kind of what I do. But every once in a while, I want to give y'all a voice. Because even though I read all the comments, I read all my DMs on Instagram, at least I try to, I feel like y'all need a voice sometime. So if you don't follow me on Twitter, you missed out on having your voice heard, because I tweeted telling people to give me their NBA opinions, and I'll tell them whether I agree or disagree with them. Basically, going opinion versus opinion. And let's just get right into the first one. Smalls said, Hassan Whiteside is a top 5 center in the NBA. I'm going to give Smalls a slight pass because he's been a supporter of not only the channel, but my podcast for a very long time. But Smalls, no. Listen, Hassan Whiteside may not even be top 10. I'm going to name y'all some centers, and you can think to yourself, is Hassan Whiteside better than him? But this is not in any order, but here are 10 centers. Anthony Davis, Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic, Rudy Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns, Steven Adams, Clint Capella, Al Horford, Andre Drummond, and Nikola Vucevic. Hassan Whiteside, you determine if Hassan Whiteside is better than any of these 10 fingers. My opinion, nope. J. Joe says Jeremy Lamb is better than Andrew Wiggins, and I'm going to go with no on this one. I'm personally an Andrew Wiggins criticizer because I know he has everything in his tool bag to be very, very good, but he just don't put it together. And when I see so much wasted potential or wasted value, I get kind of upset. So Timberwolves fans always come after me because I'm critical of Andrew Wiggins because he ain't put it together just yet. But personally, I would still take Wiggins over Jeremy Lamb. Doris Burke kind of went hard on Wiggins last night in the Spurs versus Timberwolves game. And I'll give you the gist of what she said because I can't play it because I don't want the league to come after me. She said, listen, Wiggins, Karl Anthony Towns has 5 fouls. He's on the bench right now. You are the second best player. Why the heck are you just sitting in the corner? Go demand the ball. And he went like an entire quarter and a half without scoring the ball or even trying to score the ball. So Doris Burke got on his tail for that. And I respect Doris Burke's opinion because I have that same opinion. But back to what J. Joe says, Jeremy Lamb and Andrew Wiggins, I'll take Wiggs. Professional Lakers fan says Lonzo Ball is a top 10 point guard. I'm not going to do the same thing I did with the Hassan Whiteside thing, but we all know that this is not the truth. Listen, the reason I put this in the video is because I need y'all to be realistic. I know he's a Lakers fan, so he's gonna root for Lonzo Ball every single night. And because of that, he may value Lonzo Ball a lot more than what he should because he's a fan of the team. He wants a player to be top 10. He wants Lonzo to be a top 10 point guard, but he's not. He's not that. Could he be a top 10 point guard eventually? Yes. Is he a top 10 point guard year number 2 of his career? No. So professional Lakers fan, you got to chill out, talk to me in a little bit, a couple more years, and then we can really have this discussion. Collins says John Collins should be an all-star over Ben Simmons. And this got 41 likes, which means that 41 people strolled past Collins' tweet and was like, yeah, I agree with that. What? Listen, John Collins is having a great sophomore season. He's on my fantasy team. So not only am I watching him because I actually like him and Kevin Huerter and Trae Young, but I'm rooting for him because I'm trying to win a championship in fantasy for the 3rd time. You know, this is what I do. So I'm rooting for him, but I cannot say he deserves to be an all-star over Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons deserves to be an all-star. Listen, out of the big 3 in Philly, with Joel Embiid, Jimmy Butler, and Ben Simmons, if you ask me, 2 of them deserve to be all-stars, and that's Joel and that's Ben. I'm sorry, Jimmy. Even though he's one of my favorite players, I'm going to keep it 100 with you. That team does not deserve 3 All-Stars. And Ben Simmons, in my opinion, is having a better season than Jimmy Butler. He's having a better season than John Collins, regardless of what the stats say, because John Collins is in the point of his team where he's basically the #1 option on the offensive side of the ball. Where Ben Simmons, even though he's not the #1, I don't know if he'll ever be a #1 scoring option. He's super, super important to the success of the 76ers. And, well, that's a team that's competing to win a championship this year. I'm taking Ben Simmons in the All-Star over John Collins. And Ben Simmons is a point guard anyway. He's a point guard anyway. So we comparing a point guard to a forward when it's just, that shouldn't even be done. John says D-Lo is an All-Star. D-Lo deserves to be an all-star. I'm thinking about making another all-star ballot video once we get a little bit closer because it has been over 20 plus games since we did that last one. And D'Angelo Russell has caught fire for the past X amount of games, and because of that, he's slowly playing his way into an all-star nod, in my opinion. Will he end up being an all-star? I don't know. I don't know how many fans are voting for him. I don't know how many coaches are paying close enough attention to him and his team, but I think that he deserves to be an all-star, but I don't know if he'll actually get it. Mike says Joakim Noah has a case for the Hall of Fame. 16 likes. And 16 people agree with this, which, you know what? I'm okay with that, because Joakim is my favorite center of all time. He did some great things here in Chicago, but never were we able to get over LeBron like everybody else in the Eastern Conference for 8 years. But if I had to agree or disagree with this, firstly, I got to disagree. His prime was just too short. Like, he had maybe 3 seasons where he was stellar, where he was one of the best centers in the league. And then after those 3 seasons, he fell off a cliff, and a lot of that is due to injury. And then when he got to New York, he said it himself, like, the lights were too big, he was going out and stuff. So I'm gonna say no to this. Could he make the Hall of Fame? Sure, but he's definitely not like a first ballot Hall of Famer. And probably, if I had to put it in percentages, I'm saying it's like a 3% chance Joakim Noah ends up in the Hall of Fame. I'm sorry, Joakim, you my guy, but I gotta keep it 100. Jack Dawson says the 76ers aren't legit. I'm going to have to disagree with this. I am a believer that the 76ers are a legit contender in the Eastern Conference because, well, they got a 3-headed monster. And though that 3-headed monster hasn't really gelled perfectly just yet, we still got 30-plus games of the season before we even get to the playoffs. In those 30 games, they can put it together on the offensive side, because I can't admit that though they have this 3-headed monster, there are times where the offense looks so stagnant. It seems like people are just standing around. But a lot of it has to do with them struggling to incorporate Jimmy Butler. But in those 30 games, I mean, Jimmy came out and told Brett Brown, like, listen, you got to change the offense just a little bit. And Brett Brown said, you're right, I will change the offense just a little bit. And right now, let me show y'all their schedule coming up. So as I said, as I'm recording this video, they are playing right now against OKC. After this video is done, I need to finish watching that game. But they played against the Pacers, also a playoff team, blew them out of the water. Wasn't even close. An incredible dominant game for them. But they play against the Rockets, the Spurs, the Nuggets, the Lakers, the Warriors, the Kings, the Raptors, the Nuggets, the Lakers, the Celtics, and then they get the Knicks and then the Heat down here. But they have one of the toughest schedules coming up between right now and the end of February. So if you don't think they're a contender just yet, or they're not legit, watch in on these games. This will really determine a lot of people's opinions about this team. They already beat the Pacers a couple nights ago, and if they put together this win against OKC and they could beat up on the Rockets and so on and so forth, people will start to tune in and say, yeah, this team is legit. Dominic says, I'm a Thunder fan and I think Westbrook shouldn't be an all-star. And 5 people agree with this. Listen, I've heard this for a while now, because if you don't know, Russell Westbrook's having a career low shooting on all aspects. At the 2-pointers, from the 3, and at the free throw line, he just fell off a cliff, even though he had those clutch 3 against the Lakers and they ended up losing that game. But regardless, he's struggling to shoot the ball. But I don't want to go as far as say he doesn't deserve to be an all-star, because he is still the motor on that team. This is still a team that's very good, even though they have 2 straight losses that are kind of trash. They lost to a LeBron-less Lakers and then the Hawks, and they might lose tonight, depending on how things go. But this is still a team that is 3rd in the Western Conference, a very competitive Western Conference. And Paul George is having a great year, and Russell Westbrook may not be having a great year shooting the ball, but he's still facilitating at a great rate. I'm going to still pick Russell Westbrook as an all-star. I don't think he deserves to be a starter or anything, but all-star, I agree. But for the people that don't think he deserves to be an all-star, trust me, I understand, but I would still put him in an all-star game. Dube says De'Aaron Fox is most improved. Listen, I agree. He is the most improved player, but I don't think he's going to win the award. See, throughout the history of the NBA, only 2 sophomore players have won the award. Tracy McGrady and Steve Francis? Let me fact check that, but that's off the top of the dome. If I got that right, I'm a killer. So Tracy McGrady was right. It was not Steve Francis, it was Gilbert Arenas. Those were the 2 sophomore players to ever win most improved. But as you can see from the rest of the winners, it's always a player that's been in the league for a while. Victor Oladipo's in the league for a few years before he actually took that jump. Giannis had been in the league for like 3 years before he took that jump. Same thing with CJ, Jimmy Butler, Goran Dragic, Paul George. Ryan Anderson won it a year. Wow, I forgot about that. But all of these players are people that put it together year 3, year 4, year 5 instead of year 2. Because the way it's supposed to go is you should be a better sophomore than your rookie season because you've been in the league for 82 games. So who do I think is going to win the award? I'll give it to Spicy P. Pascal Siakam. He's been around for a few years now. We're from G League to just a role player to a starter on a championship contender, and not just a starter, one of the most important players to his team. So I would go with Spicy P, even though I do think De'Aaron Fox was the one to take the biggest step. That makes sense? I hope so. And lastly, I'm not trying to pronounce your name, brother. But the Brooklyn Nets are having a better and more surprising season than the Kings. The Brooklyn Nets are somebody that I warned y'all about last season. Not that they were going to be good, okay? Because even they're good, but they're not good. You know, they're going to be in the playoffs, hopefully, but they're not good. But they might be in the playoffs. But when I say I warned y'all about them, I was telling y'all that that team was super fun to watch. But nobody was listening to Kenny. Kenny, that team won 20-something games last year. How can that be fun to watch? This is why. What you're saying right now is why. But back to his statement. They're having a better and more surprising season. I disagree with the more surprising season. But if you go, because if you go back and look at the power rankings before the season started or the projected wins, the Kings were supposed to be the worst team in the NBA. They were projected to be the worst team in the NBA, and here they are fighting for a playoff spot. That's as surprising as it gets, all right? So a lot of love for the Brooklyn Nets, but the Kings are having a more surprising season. And that's it, y'all. Thank you to everybody that inserted their tweets and everything. Let me go back and see how many people tweeted at me. 621. So shout out to all 621 people that replied to this. Obviously, I can't reply to everybody, but I got to some of the ones I thought was pretty cool. If you enjoyed the video, leave it a like. This has been Kenny. I got to get back to this game. Peace.